Good evening. Some of you may already be aware that we are taking some inspiration this season from author Kate Bowler. And she sent out this really lovely email, kind of thought for the day that I want to share with you all to open. Lent is here, the season of admitting we don't have it all together. And maybe we never did. Past those ashes. Today we began our 40-day journey. The first day to stop pretending, to sit with what is fragile, to let grace sneak in through the cracks. In many church traditions, today is the day where a nice person rubs ashes on your forehead and reminds you that you're going to die. It's a weirdly comforting tradition. From dust we were made, and to dust we shall return, which is the Bible's way of saying, you are mostly carbon and a lot of big emotions, and one day you'll be mulch. Have a great day. And yet, we are held by the God who sees us, knows us, and loves us, not in spite of our dust, but because of it, which is wild when you think about it, because in most scenarios, dust is a thing we sweep away, not cherish. So what do we do with all this dust, all these questions, all these very human aches and longings? Well, we start right here and now.
Welcome to tonight's special service. Today is Ash Wednesday, the first day of the season of Lent. We're beginning our journey toward Holy Week and Easter. It's a time when we aspire to make some room for deeper introspection and practices that will draw us into the love and assurance of faith. But sometimes faith can feel not as assured as we hope for. We can feel less than, perceiving that others seem to be able to be more faithful in their practices and beliefs. This Lent, rather than change for the best, will seek to gain momentum one day at a time, to reach for a faith that is never perfect, but good enough. So let us worship God who is enough.
There's hope for the hopeless and all those who stray. Come sit at the table, come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, rest that endures. Earth
Will you pray with me? Holy One, merciful God, we do come as we are, beautiful, imperfect people, worshiping a beautiful, perfect God who tells us we are good enough and calls us into deeper relationship. Be present with us in this often troubled journey of life. Create in us hearts that are open to transformation. Give us the patience of practice in this season of Lent, ordering our days with time enough for you. Amen.
If you'll notice in your bulletin, my part is an invitation to a mediocre journey. Hopefully that catches your attention. Hopefully it makes a little bit more sense as we go along here. Matthew chapter 6 starts out, "And whenever you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, that is where your heart will be also." Jesus uses this word hypocrite to describe those who put on an air in public so that they will be noticed as the holy one, that their religious practice was, well, perfect. Don't you love that word, perfect? I don't. You see, their hearts were actually not in the practice, rather in the rewards that public approval could bring them, which is here today and gone tomorrow. Sometimes it is life itself that robs us of the shiny, perfect life that we have planned for ourselves. A diagnosis, a broken heart, a lost opportunity. This Lent, rather than change for the best, we will hopefully seek to gain momentum one day at a time to reach a faith that is never perfect, but is good enough. A good enough faith. You see, there's so many spiritual practices, so many practices that we can get involved in here in the United States of America. Ways in which we can get hung up on the right way so that we can check off a faithful box where we are neglecting the real reason for spiritual practices in the first place, which are to actually bring us closer to relationship with the divine. Let me repeat that. Spiritual practice's purpose is to bring us closer into relationship with the divine, not to be able to tout in public so others might be impressed. This is the true treasure in heaven, or the center of union with God. Could it be that we become hypocrites when we choose to play roles and live up to expectations that are not authentically supporting who we are and what our well-being ultimately is? So, you're invited to a mediocre journey. Something I've never said from the pulpit before. And probably not something you've ever been invited to from your church before either. But join us on this journey. Allow it to stretch our minds a little bit. Allow it to make us sit just a little bit uncomfortable. Because I think that's when we actually grow. Not when things are comfortable and predictable, but when they're not. And we have to think outside of the box, and we have to examine life through a slightly different lens. I was thinking about this word, mediocre. What does mediocre mean, actually? Well, it means of moderate quality, not great, average, just okay. Let me ask you a question. When people ask you how you're doing, how many of us say perfect? How many of us even go so far as to say, great? We probably say things like good, okay, getting by, crazy, yeah. Yeah, sometimes we have those nah kind of days, right? Yeah. So I think it makes sense for us to be able to recognize it's okay for us to be on this Lenten journey with Christ as he makes his way to the cross, to say that we are having a mediocre journey. It doesn't mean it's bad. Mediocre doesn't mean bad. It just means not great. Maybe somewhat average, maybe even okay. Because I think that the goal of this Lent is to get us to take on spiritual practices, to actually focus on our relationship, our authentic relationship that we seek to have with God and with our community. But I think that what we're trying to shed light on is that sometimes, if you're like me, you feel like you've got to be perfect when you do it. It made me think of, anybody make New Year's resolutions this year? I did not. I've given up on New Year's resolutions. I will just be honest. But why have I given up on New Year's resolutions? Because they don't pan out. And then I feel less than a failure. Oh, one more thing that I didn't get right in life. Right? So, what would it be like if we spent these next 6 weeks figuring out that we don't have to be perfect? People of God, let me repeat that. What if we spend the next 6 weeks not having to be perfect? That's what I want us to try. Because sometimes we can confuse that we need to be perfect in order to be a good Christian. Or we might confuse we need to be perfect to be a good parent. Or we might confuse that we need to be perfect to be the best employee or the best neighbor or that you fill in the blank. But can any human being really achieve perfection? No. So, I want us to focus on being transformed, not being perfect. So will you join me on this journey? This journey towards transformation, which means that it's going to involve imperfection, not perfection. But it means that we can authentically approach our Savior, who we are, warts and all, and hopefully be transformed for the better, and not feel beaten down and worn out because we couldn't achieve perfection. You've seen in your bulletins and in your newsletter that we're recommending a book. It's not required, but if you would like to get it, you definitely can. It's co-authored Kate Bowler and Jessica Ritchie. If you'll remember, 2 years ago, we also did some work by them. Bless This Lent, we actually have. And so this is a continuation, slightly different approach, but a continuation of that. The title of this is Good Enough. Thanks to Cheryl and Amy for putting our visual up here that will be up here all 6 weeks to remind us of our theme, that we are good enough. And this subtitle for this book is 40-ish Devotionals for a Life of Imperfection. I'm excited. I hope you can be too. Because I think that what we will find in going on this journey together is that this is going to be something that's achievable and maybe transformational for all of us as we take this journey with one another. So I want to share with you part of the preface to this book. She writes, "How am I to use this book? What follows are 40-ish entries meant to be read as you sip your morning coffee or wait in the carpool line or while you're ignoring your partner at bedtime." Wait. You can read them in order, or you can skip around or use them during these 40 days of Lent. Trust us, no one is keeping score. Each includes a prayer or a blessing because we believe in blessing the crap out of people, and you look like you could use it. inside is also a simple prompt called a good enough step to nudge you toward action. No, not every transformation is possible, but yes, there are some things we can do to inch toward a deeper, richer, truer kind of faith. So let's begin. But before we do, a blessing for you, dear one, as you embark on this joyfully mediocre journey toward, well, imperfection. So you noticed, hopefully, when you came in this evening that there were two pieces of paper next to each other. One looks like this, which was the worship bulletin, and one has a lot more words and a little bit of a picture at the top of it. So what this is designed to do is allow you, am I still on? Okay. Allow you to recognize the breakdown of the 6 weeks of Lent. And then what she has done here is she's given us the titles of each of these devotions within this book. Okay? Now, there is a typo, and we can't take credit for this typo. This one actually came through Worship Design Studio. It says that the page numbers correspond next to the names. There's not any page numbers on here, so you're not losing your mind. They just left the page numbers out there. But when you open up the table of contents here, you will see regula, when good things happen, give up already, so on and so forth. So the idea here is that if you choose to use this, if you choose to buy this book, that you have a devotional for every day, and if you want to follow them in this order, you can. If you want to mix them up, if you want to be crazy and do them backwards, you can do it however you choose to do it. But this was just an option. The way they've recommended here, I like the order. I've looked through it. It's a good order. It kind of skips around the book, so it's not one after another after another. It's you jump from this page to this page and so forth. You'll also notice that there's 6 for each week. But Ryan, there's 7 days in a week. Right, because we hope that on the 7th day of the week, you're here in worship. Okay? That's the goal. So if you look at this and you're like, but there's not 7 of these for every week. That's a reminder. Oh yeah, I've done my 6. I better be in church on Sunday morning. That's the goal. The goal is for us to be in worship together for each of these Sundays of Lent. And you already see, based on these titles here, what the sermon titles are going to be for the next 6 weeks. So if you were wondering, if you were just eager beavers and wanting to know what is Ryan preaching on this Sunday, the title of the sermon is Ordinary Lives Can Be Holy. Okay? And so these devotions can help us as we journey through this Lent together. We will be studying these themes on Sunday morning during worship. For any of you who are interested, come back at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoons, and we will, as a smaller group than we have in worship, be able to discuss these devotions and get a little bit deeper into the meaning and the understandings of all of those. So that's what I'm inviting us to do this year. Each year I kind of put out an idea for us to work towards. And so our idea to work towards this year is if you're interested in getting this book, which, by the way, this book is usually $22. Right now, I think it's like $4. Okay, christianbook.com is $3.99. So it's a pretty good buy for this book. I'm not trying to sell this for her. I don't get any profits off of all of this. I just think she's done a really, really nice job. For those of you who don't remember, Kate Bowler is a seminary professor who some 7 years ago, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer and was not expected to live. She went through a period that wasn't very happy in her life. And what impresses me about her is she has created all this curriculum, this and the one we did 2 years ago, and even more, of recognizing life is messy.